Okay, so we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about. Masculine energy at work. And as we build our careers, what does healthy masculinity even mean?
Yeah.
Our mission today is to cut through all the noise and really get a clear understanding of how this all works in the real world in our professional lives.
Right. And I think a good place to start is with, what we traditionally think of as masculine energy in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what comes to mind? That strong focus on competition, maybe prioritizing results above maybe everything else,
Yeah.
and maybe even being reluctant to show vulnerability.
Okay.
That classic idea of you can't show your emotions at work.
Yeah, keeping your emotions in check.
Exactly.
But it feels like the workplace is changing. We're hearing so much more about inclusive leadership and all that. So what's driving this shift away from those, maybe older
Well,
models?
one of the really interesting things is that we're seeing more and more evidence that diverse approaches and leadership styles actually make companies more successful. If you only have one type of voice at the table,
Yeah.
you're missing out on all sorts of ideas and perspectives.
Right.
And this shift, I think, also reflects a wider understanding that masculinity itself is not just this rigid set of rules,
Hmm.
you know?
So if those old rules are changing, what does healthy masculine energy actually look like when we're talking about our careers?
Right.
I think this is really important for everyone listening, right?
Yeah.
It's not about losing your drive. It's
No, not at all. Healthy masculine energy in your career is about still having that ambition, that drive to achieve things.
okay.
But it's also about having a collaborative spirit working with others.
Right.
It's about being confident in what you can do, but without becoming arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about being assertive when you need to be, but also being able to step back and understand other people's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, empathy really matters here.
I think that makes so much sense. So it's not about being less determined, but more about how you kind of direct that determination, right?
Right.
And it seems like that combination, the teamwork, the understanding alongside that strength, creates a much better environment for everyone.
Right.
And ultimately that leads to more success.
Yeah, absolutely. And when people feel valued and respected, when leadership empowers them, instead of just telling them what to do, you tend to see more innovation. People are more committed.
Makes sense.
And that brings us to something really important for you to think about. How can you develop these healthy masculine traits in your own professional life,
Right.
regardless of your gender?
Hmm.
These are qualities that can help anyone.
Exactly. It's not about being, one specific person.
Hmm.
It's about leadership and those skills that make any workplace better,
Hmm.
Recognizing that strength can be shown in different ways,
Mhm.
like being open to feedback, working well with others.
Right. It's about choosing to interact in ways that get things done, but also respect everyone you're working with.
Yeah.
So even just taking a moment to listen to what other people are saying in a meeting before jumping in with your own thoughts, that's a simple example.
So to recap, we've been talking about how those, maybe more traditional ideas of masculine energy at work are evolving. And what we're seeing is a focus on healthy masculinity in our careers. And it's not about, fitting into these old stereotypes. It's about finding a balance, ambition with collaboration, confidence, but also humility and being assertive, but also empathetic.
Right. And all of that leads to a more positive and more productive work life for everybody.
So here's something to really chew on. How could understanding this idea of healthy masculine energy help you have a more rewarding and more successful career? What's one little change you could try in how you approach your work and how you interact with colleagues?
Yeah, think about that.